I call these verses in Malachi 3 a window into God's financial system. Malachi 3 verse 8 says this, "Will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me." But you say, "In what way have we robbed you?" "In tithes and offerings." And I guess that settles the question that God actually does care what you give. He cares what you give because it's an act of worship. And we know that the tithe belongs to the Lord, and we give it back to Him as an act of worship that is a statement, that it's saying, you are our source. And depending on what situation we're currently in, often that declaration has to be an act of faith, because you're like, wait, I'm putting this first, but I don't know how this bill is going to be paid. But it's this act of worship. And then we have the voice of God to guide us, to plant our seed. Why? Verse 9, "You're cursed with a curse, for you've robbed me, even this whole nation." God doesn't curse anyone, but when you choose not to worship God in giving, you're actually robbing Him from being your source. Verse 10, "Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, so there may be food in my house." And so what's the purpose of bringing the tithe? We bring the tithe to the place we're connecting as a local assembly. Why? Because that money is used to further the purposes of God, be a blessing to us, empower our leaders to live the life that God has called them to give. All the resources, these lights in this studio, that's what that goes to do. It's God's financial system. That 10% goes to the house of God so that the priests can do the job that God's called them to do. Another sign of the kingdom. We are to be the source of other people's blessings. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, so there may be food in my house, and try me now in this, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open up for you the windows of heaven and pour out such a blessing, there will not be room enough to receive it. Remember, giving is an act of worship. And just like when we worship in song, in acts of service, we open this door in heaven for the interventions of God. And this is what He tells us. "I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, so that he will not destroy the fruit of your ground, nor shall the vine fail to bear fruit for you in the field, says the Lord of hosts." Verse 12, "All the nations will call you blessed, for you will be delightful in that land." Why does God want us to live in His economic system? Because He wants us to live in that blessing that He instituted when time began to Adam. That He would turn, according to the book of Isaiah, He would turn our desert into Eden as we worship Him through our giving. So I encourage you, step into God's financial system and live out the blessing of the Lord, and watch God rebuke the devourer for your sake, and live the blessed, abundant, overcoming life that Jesus shed His blood to give you.